Hello everyone. Welcome back to our channel, Canada Immigration. We hope you're doing great. Well, in this, we'll talking about Canada announces new measures, express entry latest draws, Canada's immigration for 2024, IRCC news. Canada, known for its welcoming stance on international students and skilled professionals, is taking bold steps to enhance the integrity of its immigration system. With a series of recent express entry draws and special invitations, the country reaffirms its commitment to attracting top talent. In this video, we delve into Canada's new measures to safeguard the integrity of international student programs and provide insights into the latest express entry draws. So, to get all the information, pay attention and watch the video through to the end. Please hit like and subscribe, and don't forget to push the notification bell for upcoming video. So, without any further delay, let's jump into the video. Canada Express Entry invited 5,448 candidates in just 3 days. Highlights: IRCC held its third express entry draw of the week. The first express entry draw was held on October 24th, and issued 1,548 invitations to candidates with a minimum CRS score of 776. In the second draw held on October 25th, 300 invitations to apply were sent to French language proficiency in a category-based draw, with a minimum CRS score of 486. In the third draw held on October 26th, ETAs were issued to 3,600 healthcare professionals, with a minimum CRS score of 431. 3 express entry draws were held for 3 days and a total of 5,448 invitations were sent to candidates. 3 express entry draws in 3 days issued 5,448 ETAs. IRCC held its third express entry draw of the week on October 26th and a total of 3,600 invitations were sent to the candidates in healthcare occupations, with a minimum CRS score of 431. This draw followed after the most recent ones that were held on October 25th where 300 invitations were sent and on October 24th where 1,548 invitations were sent out to candidates for French language proficiency. Candidates who are nominated by a province in an express entry pool will automatically get a score of 600 CRS points. IRCC invites 1,548 PNP candidates in the latest express entry draw. The latest express entry draw issues 1,548 ETAs for candidates with a CRS score of 776. IRCC sends 1,548 invitations in the recent express entry draw. The candidates were invited based on CRS score result, which should be a minimum of 776. Again, based on the October 10th result, 3,725 candidates were invited who scored a minimum of 500. The candidates are given scores based on their age, education, occupation, work experience, and language ability. The express entry candidates no longer require medical examination from October 21st. Express entry draws since June 2023. Express entry draw 271, 600 invited in healthcare draw. The latest Canadian express entry draw was just held. Express entry draw 271 saw a lowest CRS score of 431 and invited 3,600 candidates eligible for category-based selection in healthcare occupations. Third category-specific draw for healthcare occupations. Category-specific draws allow the government to target those with skills and occupations most in demand in Canada. It will also be advantageous for those within these selected categories as the cutoff score will likely be lower than all program draws. This will give more varied profiles and experiences a chance at selection by considering other factors than only CRS scores for these types of draws. Today's draw was the third category-specific draw for healthcare workers. The previous one was held on July 6, draw number 255. Since the introduction of healthcare occupations, 2023-1, on June 28, 2023, we have observed a continuous 300% growth in the number of invitations with each subsequent category draw. This is a result of the minimum required score decreasing by 22.5 points since the initial draw in the category, leading to an expansion of eligible profiles within the express entry candidate pool and reaching the maximum of 600 invitations in the category. Express entry draw number 271 issued 600 invitations to apply to candidates with a minimum comprehensive ranking system of 431. This means that all candidates for this draw were selected from a select number of healthcare occupations within the express entry pool. How can you apply for express entry? Express entry is a system used by the Canadian government to manage applications for Canadian permanent residency. Express entry uses a point-based system, the CRS, to rank candidates' profiles. The first step is to submit your profile with the required documents. Required documents usually consist of language test results, educational credentials, and passport or travel documentation. After you submit a profile and receive an invitation to apply for Canadian permanent residence, you can submit your complete application for the IRCC to review. Your complete application should include supporting documents such as reference letters, additional identity documents, police clearance certificates, and results of a medical examination. Qualification for the healthcare occupations category. To be eligible for this category, you must 1. Accumulate a minimum of 6 months of full-time employment, or an equivalent duration of part-time employment, within the preceding 3 years of the application. 2. This experience must be within a single profession of all the enumerated in the eligible healthcare occupations table provided below. 3. Experience should be in Canada or internationally. 4. Meet all the prerequisites outlined in the guidelines for the respective round of invitations. What are the eligible healthcare occupations for this category? Canada announces new measures to strengthen international student integrity. Mark Miller, Canada's Immigration Minister, has just made an announcement on strengthening international student program integrity. The minister stressed that he is not in favor of imposing a cap on new international student arrivals. However, to limit fraud against international students, the federal government is rolling out a new scheme to verify the letters of acceptance, LOA, that prospective international students need to apply for a study permit. In addition, the government will move ahead with a new Recognized Institutions Framework for Canadian Designated Learning Institutions by the fall semester of 2024. DLIs are the colleges, universities, and other educational institutions approved by provincial and territorial governments to welcome international students. The framework will set a higher standard for services, support, and outcomes for international students. The rationale behind the idea is that DLIs who meet certain IRCC integrity criteria would be eligible for certain benefits, such as priority processing of study permit applications by IRCC. Further details will be shared about how institutions can become recognized and what the benefits will look like. Miller also announced that IRCC will conduct its first review of the popular Post-Graduation Work Permit, PGWP, which has not been reviewed in 10 years, and will announce reforms in the coming months. He says the goal is to calibrate the PGWP to address Canada's labour shortages in areas of the economy with a greater need, as well as regional and francophone immigration goals. Canada set to host 900,000 international students this year. Canada is a leading destination for international students. In 2022, it welcomed a record 405 international students from 184 countries. As of the end of 2022, there were 750 international students holding valid Canadian study permits, another all-time high. Canada's international student population has quadrupled over the past 15 years. This is due to factors such as the rising global middle class seeking to study abroad, as well as Canada's attractiveness to international students in areas like quality of education, employment prospects, and immigration pathways. In 2022, the top source countries of new international students were India, 226, 450 students, China, 52, 165 students, and the Philippines, 23, 280 students. The leading destinations were Ontario, 411, 000 students, and British Columbia, 164, 000 students. Mark Miller has shared that Canada is on track to host around 900, 000 international students in 2023. The Canadian government continues to issue a large number of study permits. Between January and June 2023, Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada issued more than 280, 000 new study permits, a 77% increase compared to the same period in 2022. International Student Challenges. Today's announcement comes after more than 700 Indian students in Canada were faced with deportation earlier this year after finding out that their letter of acceptance, LOAs, were discovered by the Canadian government to be fake. Many of the students had come to Canada to study in 2018 and 2019, and the fraud was only discovered after many of them had completed their studies and were applying for permanent residency. Reports indicated that the LOAs were forged by an unscrupulous immigration consultant in India and who has since disappeared. At the time, IRCC announced that the international students that were not aware or involved in the fraud would not face deportation. This situation brought even more light to the issue of Canadian international student fraud. International student integrity highlighted in recent report from members of Canada's Senate. Canada's Immigration Minister, Mark Miller, has unveiled a series of measures aimed at strengthening the integrity of the international student program. These measures come in response to concerns about fraudulent practices and will focus on improving the verification of letters of acceptance and enhancing the overall quality of education and support provided by designated learning institutions. One of the key components of the plan is the introduction of a recognized institutions framework for DLIs, which are institutions authorized by provincial and territorial governments to admit international students. This framework will establish higher standards for services, support, and outcomes for international students. DLIs that meet specific integrity criteria will be eligible for benefits like priority processing of study permit applications. Additionally, the government will conduct its first review of the post-graduation work permit in a decade. The aim is to align the PGWP with Canada's labour needs, particularly in sectors facing shortages, and to support regional and francophone immigration goals. Canada has become a highly attractive destination for international students, hosting a record 405 students from 184 countries in 2022. This number is expected to reach around 900, 000 in 2023. The top source countries for international students in Canada include India, China, and the Philippines, with Ontario and British Columbia as the leading destinations. The recent measures come in the wake of incidents involving fake letters of acceptance that led to potential deportations for over 700 Indian students. The fraudulent LOAs were created by an immigration consultant in India. While students unaware of the fraud were not deported, the incident highlighted the need to address the integrity of Canada's international student system. A report from members of Canada's Senate also emphasized the significance of international student integrity. It raised concerns about education agents directing students toward programs that do not make them eligible for the post-graduation work permit, leaving graduates without work and permanent residence opportunities. Minister Miller acknowledged the integrity challenges in the international student visa process and the need to address them head-on. The new measures announced by Minister Miller aim to improve the system's integrity, safeguard the interests of international students, and ensure that Canadian institutions provide high-quality education and support. These changes reflect Canada's commitment to maintaining its status as a top destination for international students while upholding the integrity of its immigration programs. Canada's Immigration Minister and Deputy Minister discuss top IRCC objectives. On October 24, Canada's Standing Committee on Citizenship and Immigration invited Canada's Immigration Minister and Deputy Minister to outline immigration, refugees and citizenship Canada's top priorities. The role of Canada's Immigration Minister, Mark Miller, is to work with IRCC stakeholders as well as provincial and territorial governments to create immigration strategies that strengthen Canada's economy, reunites families, and welcomes refugees and asylum seekers. He also has a mandate to promote the French language outside of Quebec. Deputy Minister Christiane Fox is the most senior civil servant in the Immigration Department. This means her role is non-political. It is her job to oversee the management of IRCC, which includes the implementation of strategies and policies, as well as internal duties such as managing people and the budget. Measures coming to strengthen International Student Program. Minister Miller spoke about international student fraud and told the committee he would announce measures to strengthen the integrity of the International Student Program in the coming weeks. IRCC is working on a trusted institutions framework to improve the integrity of Canada's International Student Program. Details are scarce, but it will rely heavily on assessing designated learning institutions for criteria that demonstrates that they are reliable partners with regard to sustainable intake, identifying genuine students, monitoring and reporting on their compliance, and providing a safe and enriching experience for their international students. Further, the minister reiterated that he was not in favor of setting a cap on the number of international student admissions to Canada. Yates Report. Former IRCC Deputy Minister, Neil Yates, produced a report earlier this year outlining how IRCC can improve its efficiency. The report was commissioned by IRCC with the objective of evaluating if the current department structure was the best method for the department to fulfill its mandates. The report found that the current organizational structure at IRCC is not efficient and several recommendations were made. Deputy Minister Fox told the committee the full report would be shared with them within the next 2 weeks. She said it had not been released previously because she wanted all IRCC employees to first have a chance to read it and discuss it with her as necessary. Express entry. Committee members noted that since Minister Miller was appointed, there has been a slowdown in the number of express entry draws. Deputy Minister Fox says the decrease in number of draws in ETAs is largely due to an IT glitch during the launch of category-based selection draws, and they will make up the numbers as they go. Additionally, in response to questions around the number of skilled trades professionals in Canada, Deputy Minister Fox said a category-based draw for express entry candidates in skilled trades will take place by December this year. SIM is made up of 12 members of Canada's Parliament, MPs, and there is at least one member from every major political party sitting on the committee. Their job is to monitor federal policy relating to immigration and multiculturalism. The committee meets regularly to discuss relevant immigration issues. Recent areas of exploration include application backlogs, bills that are before Parliament, such as Bill S-245, which is an act to amend the Citizenship Act, granting citizenship to certain Canadians, and international student irregularities. They also provide oversight on Canada's government and encourages the government to act on specific issues such as amending special immigration measures for the people of Hong Kong in January this year, or staying the deportation of 700 Indian students who were found to have been admitted with fraudulent acceptance letters. Immigration Levels Plan 2024 to 2026. IRCC will release the Immigration Levels Plan for 2024 to 2026 by November 1. The plan is significant because it helps Canada's government to anticipate an increase in population and plan accordingly to ensure that there is adequate infrastructure such as healthcare, education, housing, and settlement services to support newcomers as they settle into Canada. This needs to be balanced to meet needs of Canada's existing population. The plan must support Canada's economic priorities, reunite families and welcome refugees and asylum seekers. That being said, support for immigration has been waning somewhat in the face of Canada's high cost of living and lack of affordable housing. Miller has said that increasing the number of skilled newcomers is a vital part of getting more homes built. He also told Bloomberg News in an interview last August that the new plan will likely maintain or increase the current targets set in the 2023 to 2025 plan, in which Canada plans to admit 500,000 new permanent residents each year by the end of 2025. Canada's immigration outlook for 2024. Expectations and implications. The Canadian immigration landscape is dynamic and ever-evolving, driven by various factors such as economic needs, societal dynamics, and global events. As we eagerly anticipate the release of Canada's immigration levels plan for 2024, we explore what to expect from this upcoming announcement, the potential impacts on the country's immigration targets, and the complex issues that shape this evolving narrative. Canada's Immigration Levels Plan 2024. What to expect? On November 1, 2023, the eagerly awaited Canada Immigration Levels Plan for 2024 is set to be unveiled. This plan will provide insights into Canada's annual immigration targets for the next 3 years, setting the stage for the nation's immigration policies in a rapidly changing world. New leadership, fresh perspective. Mark Miller, the newly appointed Minister of Immigration, Refugees, Citizenship, and Canada, will preside over the announcement. His leadership brings a fresh perspective and a commitment to Canada's immigration goals. The nation will closely watch how his vision aligns with Canada's immigration targets. The ongoing housing crisis and immigration. One of the key discussions surrounding Canada's immigration strategy involves addressing the ongoing housing crisis. It's a commonly held belief that increasing immigration can potentially offer a solution to the housing challenges that have been escalating across the nation. This perspective is shared by both Minister Mark Miller and the former Immigration Minister, Sean Fraser. The growing demand for immigration. The increasing number of individuals, including work permit holders, international students, asylum seekers, and their families, residing within Canada underscores the growing demand for immigration to the country. People from all walks of life aspire to make Canada their permanent home, contributing to its diverse and vibrant society. The dilemma: should immigration levels increase? As the 2024 Immigration Levels Plan is about to be revealed, a crucial question arises. Should Canada further increase its immigration targets? The data suggests that Canada is on a path of continued growth in this regard. In 2024, the immigration target stands at 485,000, and in 2025, it's projected to reach 500,000. These numbers indicate a consistent upward trajectory in immigration targets over the coming years. However, there's a twist to this narrative. A pressing concern: housing and inflation. While Canada's commitment to immigration is clear, the nation is grappling with pressing issues. The ongoing housing crisis and the rising inflation rates have raised concerns about whether Canada should consider a more cautious approach to immigration. Housing crunch, a pervading issue. One of the foremost concerns among Canadians is the housing crisis. Major cities, particularly Toronto and Vancouver, have experienced skyrocketing real estate prices, making homeownership a distant dream for many. The influx of newcomers has been identified as a contributing factor to the housing crunch. The argument is that a reduced inflow of immigrants may help ease the housing situation. Inflation, impact on cost of living. In addition to housing, inflation has become a significant concern. The cost of living in Canada is rising, affecting essential goods and services. Inflation is driven by various factors, including the global economic landscape. As the government ponders its immigration targets, it must consider how inflation affects the livelihoods of all residents, including newcomers. Balancing act: immigration targets versus economic realities. The delicate balance between immigration targets and economic realities is at the heart of the matter. Canada's immigration policies have always sought to promote economic growth, cultural diversity, and humanitarian values. Finding the equilibrium between these objectives and addressing immediate issues like housing and inflation remains a challenge. Economic contributions of immigrants. It's essential to acknowledge that immigrants have been a driving force behind Canada's economic growth. They have contributed to various sectors, filled labor gaps, and enriched the cultural fabric of the nation. Canada's economy has, in many ways, thrived due to the talent and skills brought in by immigrants. Addressing concerns: targeted immigration. A possible solution to this conundrum is targeted immigration. Instead of a one-size-fits-all approach, the government may consider directing newcomers to regions or sectors where they are most needed. This approach can help manage housing and inflation concerns while still harnessing the benefits of immigration. Conclusion: as Canada unveils its immigration levels plan for 2024, the nation stands at a crossroads, seeking a path that balances the aspirations of prospective immigrants with the concerns of current residents. The housing crisis and rising inflation have added complexity to this challenge. The government's choice of immigration targets will not only shape the country's demographic landscape but also have far-reaching economic and social consequences. Canada's ability to navigate these complex issues, maintain its commitment to immigration, and address the pressing concerns of its residents will define its immigration policies in the years to come. The 2024 Immigration Levels Plan represents a critical juncture in this journey, setting the stage for the nation's future and its place in a rapidly changing world. Canada's dedication to maintaining the integrity of its immigration system while inviting skilled individuals remains unwavering. As the nation continues to shape its policies to meet its economic and demographic needs, international students and skilled workers find promising opportunities on Canadian soil. Stay tuned for more updates on Canada's evolving immigration landscape. That is all for today. In this video, what are your thoughts on this? Please let us know in the comments section below. Thanks for watching the entire video. Hopefully, the information is useful to you. See you later, in the next episode. Till then, take care.